Hey guys, welcome back. We have a new week of energy to get into, which also happens to correlate with a new month that is beginning as well. I think that this month of March is probably going to be coming in more so like the lamb, going out like the lion. We've got a lot of big stuff coming as we get towards the end of the month. We're in eclipse season now as well. We've got 2 eclipses going on this month. Mercury station's retrograde, Venus is retrograde. There's a lot of probably big changes coming at us, and energy definitely shifts this week as well. As we move into the energy of Monday, Mercury enters Aries, and you may feel like jumping head first into something. There has been sort of this like buildup of pressure or tension that has been seeking to move forward, and now that we've got Mercury entering Aries, it could feel like sort of the green light for some forward movement as we move into Monday. But we've got to remember, Mercury's going retrograde in a couple weeks. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. There are going to need to be corrections and changes made to the things that we are beginning in the energy of this week. There are also probably a lot of major relationship changes underway, and I think that people are going to be motivated to let go of some things, to divest, to like decommit. I think there could be relationship breakdowns definitely underway throughout the course of this week and this period of time as well. We need to talk about Venus having stationed retrograde in Aries over the weekend. We've got some catch up that we need to do in our report for today. So all that, you guys, and so much more. We have such a busy month of March coming up energetically. There is just so much happening this month, so it's probably going to feel like one thing after another, and big changes are upon us. This is a very transitional period of time. We're sort of at the place in the year when we're teetering back and forth between Pisces and Aries energy, which is endings and beginnings. So transitions underway, very strange period of time as well. So let's talk about it. Let's get into the report, put it all together, see where we are to get our week started and what things are looking like for us as we start to move through this month of March. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, March 3rd, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me until the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what is going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. We're going to do that at the end, but we've got a lot of astrology that we need to get into. I actually need to play a little bit of catch up in this video and go over a couple of the things that happened during the weekend that I didn't cover during my last video out, which was the new moon in Pisces video. The new moon in Pisces occurred like Thursday into Friday of last week, so that's what I covered in my Friday video. But we also had Venus station retrograde, Mercury conjunct Neptune in the North Node, like this very interesting energy play out Saturday into Sunday as well. And then as we're hitting the energy of Monday this week, Mercury enters the sign of Aries. This is like the lights coming back on. You may have felt just totally caught up in some daydream fantasy land, haze, brain fog over the course of this past couple of days, but definitely as we move into the energy of Monday, there's a significant vibe shift going on in terms of mental energy, how fast our mind is working, what we're thinking about, what we're focused on. And the vibe switch is, or shift is such that things that we may have been kind of like avoiding or hiding from this past couple of weeks, and specifically maybe over this past couple of days, Saturday into Sunday, all of a sudden we are perhaps ready to face, feeling more assertive, more confident, and like ready to move forward in some way. Mercury in the sign of Aries is pretty much ready to like jump headfirst into anything. So we're going to talk about that as we move through the report. But first of all, I do want to go back, as I said, and mention kind of like what we had going on following that new moon in Pisces that did occur this past week, Thursday into Friday. It may have been a very slow-paced, kind of dreamy weekend with all this Pisces energy going on. If you do like watch shows or read books or kind of engage in any like fantasy-oriented anything, you may have found yourself like spending a lot of time doing that throughout the course of the weekend. It very much was the type of energy that favors fantasy or fiction over any type of fact or like logic based thing. This is very much energy for creatives and artists and spiritualists and stuff like that. Over this past weekend, we did have Mercury, the mind, in the sign of Pisces, come into a conjunction with Neptune and the North Node in the sign of Pisces, and the moon was right there as well. As remember, we had just had our new moon in Pisces, meaning the sun and the moon aligned with Pisces in Pisces on Friday, and then the moon continued to move through the sign of Pisces, came into a conjunction with Mercury and the North Node and Neptune, which is honestly like just the ultimate heights of this like fantasy oriented, daydreamy, otherworldly, totally disconnected from reality type of energy going on. So if there was something like streamlined and organized and detail oriented you needed to get done over the weekend, I'm going to wager that you're probably going to want to double check that, because that was just not what the energy was about. But great literary works being created, music, art, even like sermons or presentations and stuff like that, being almost like hypnotized or entranced by the beauty or the divinity or just the wondrous nature perhaps of something, very transcendental quality to everything that maybe went on over the weekend. That's more of what we're looking like. This is just not the most logical, linear minded energy. It's very ethereal and very artistic, very creative, right? This definitely supports inspired writing and these creative concepts that are just sort of like flooding our mind when we've got a lineup like this going on. But it is it's just not necessarily bringing the pieces all together in the way that makes the most logical sense. And then all these other Pisces themes as well. This is a very versatile energy, of course. There's a lot that could be brought up when we're dealing with Pisces. You may, again, have just felt out of it, like some type of brain fog, tired, like you need some extra sleep. Or it could be this like divine inspiration that's coming through, this like very high level creativity that we feel like we're channeling in this energy. But it could also literally put a focus on water. You could just be like, for some reason, doing something or focus somehow on, in, or around water, thinking about it, talking about it when we've got this Neptune, Pisces, Mercury conjunction going on. This could also have to do with, of course, escaping or ending something, focused on maybe a storyline or a narrative also that you've been kind of following and can't really like pull yourself away from. This could also have to do, though, of course, with oil when we're talking about Pisces, drugs or alcohol, loss, victimhood, vulnerability, deception, letting things go, or again, just like this generalized brain fog and indecision that could have been plaguing us over this past couple of days. But as we do move into the energy of Monday, we're going to snap out of it. This is definitely going to shift and we're going to feel like we are kind of firing on all cylinders again. I think the lights are coming back on and Mercury in the sign of Aries is ready to go. Okay, so we move Sunday into Monday from perhaps feeling like we are caught in this like walking daydream state to feeling like we're ready to just like take on and handle the day. The things that we may have been avoiding over this past couple of weeks, I do feel like we're also going to be ready to face come the energy of Monday. So I don't know, we'll see how it plays out. Mercury in Aries makes people more quick-witted and verbally aggressive and assertive, obviously, than the Mercury in Pisces energy. This is actually a stronger placement for Mercury than being in Pisces. Mercury is in detriment in Pisces. And so again, while there are a lot of beautiful qualities associated with the Mercury Pisces energy, it's just kind of a different way of thinking and processing information. In the sign of Aries, this is a more straightforward flow of the mental communication, information-oriented energy. And another thing to keep in mind, with Mercury entering the sign of Aries, this is also setting Mercury up in a sextile for this first few days of the week with Pluto in Aquarius. So this actually is quite an empowered mental energy. And I'm telling you, people are going to be ready to blast off, move forward in some type of way. Remember, we've also been moving through this Mars direct, station direct energy over this past week or so that has been kind of countered by the Mercury Saturn energy that we had going on as well. There is this kind of like tension or pressure that's been going on to move things forward, and some resistance perhaps that may have been blocking that. Now that Mercury's moving into Aries, I do think the entire mental push and focus is going to be like whatever we got to do to make that forward motion happen. So yeah, that's the direction. That's the shift that is incoming as we hit the beginning of our week this week. But again, I want to remind you guys that we are heading into Mercury retrograde territory. So adjustments are going to need to be made to whatever it is that we are involving ourselves with or getting started this week. Now, whereas it may have been hard to get a straight answer out of people over this past couple of weeks, and maybe this past weekend for sure with Mercury in the sign of Pisces, not so much as we hit the energy of Monday and begin moving through this week, people are probably going to be telling you exactly how it is. That's another sort of way that this energy is shifting. People are going to be way more straightforward, way more upfront, way more initiatory in terms of the communication. Again, like I said, we are not hiding from or avoiding things, communication, interaction, confrontation perhaps, to the same extent that we may have been with the Mercury Pisces energy. This is also helping us to be more decisive for sure. Pisces is a very dualistic sign, you know, the glyph, the two fish swimming in opposite directions. We're like caught in between. We don't know what to do, you know? And like the way that energy has been over this past weekend as well, like we may have really felt like we were just in some type of void and couldn't make a decision about something, but I'm telling you, like, come the energy of this week, the shift will probably be quite palpable, and you may find yourself feeling much more settled on some type of decision and direction once we get through the energy of Monday. Aries, of course, is a cardinal sign. This is an action-oriented sign. It's the first sign of the zodiac. It's ruled by Mars, so an action-oriented mentality and focus moving us through this week, thinking about what we can do to get ahead, to put ourselves first, to make progress, to be the leader, okay? Realize though, Mercury will station retrograde. Things that perhaps may seem like a good idea to go all, and Venus is retrograde right now too. Venus retrograde is not the time, you guys, when you want to be making commitments and investments to things. Keep this in mind, okay? This is like jump the gun type of energy. Just because it's like after being held up for so long, perhaps we may feel like we finally got the green light to move forward, and that may be the case, but we just don't want to get too ahead of ourselves because this is a corrective period and we're in eclipse season, okay? Like, how things are now is not going to be how they are once we get to the end of the month. We've got major energetic shifts taking place. Neptune is entering Aries on March 30th. That is huge. That Neptune hasn't been in Aries since 1861. We've got another one of these like multi-100-year shifts that is taking place at the end of this month. And that is also fiery, okay? And then with the solar eclipse that is happening alongside the new moon in Aries, which is this explosive Mars firepower energy. That's what I'm saying. Like, the month is going out like the lion. It may have come in like the lamb with this like Pisces, North Node, Neptune, all the Pisces energy conjunctions, but where we're going is a lot more lively, okay, than I think where we've been to get this month started. And just be aware that while there may be like a very big incentive or motivation to really like pull the trigger and move forward on something, there is going to need to be some type of a rewiring or reworking of thoughts, ideas, plans associated with where our mental focus is oriented, what we are gearing ourselves towards as we actually start this week. Mercury entering Aries. People are going to be itching to move forward, but I mean, universe is accounting for the perhaps errors that are made along the way, because we do have this pending Mercury retrograde that is going to be coming up. Now, another thing perhaps that this could be pertaining to, or just to keep in mind in the context of this particular energy, as I just mentioned, Mercury in the sextile also to Pluto in the sign of Aquarius. This could have to do with technology, AI, okay? Innovation, inventions, like thought leaders and influencers and stuff like that as well. Being launched, being released come this first week of March, but then there also needing to be some type of correction or alteration. That just could be another random theme that is popping up as a part of all of this. Now, I want to go back and talk some more about Venus having stationed retrograde. It's real interesting to me, the Venus-Mercury retrograde dynamic that's going on right now. Now, on the 2nd of March, when Venus stationed retrograde, Mercury was actually in exact conjunction with the north node of the moon, okay? Now, that is significant because, of course, Mercury is the messenger planet. The north node is the destiny point. And Venus stationing retrograde has to do with reevaluating our relationship dynamics, reconsidering what we want, making sure that there is, you know, that what we are pursuing and what we are going after and what we are creating is what we truly desire, okay? There's a reevaluating or reprioritizing. This can bring changes in relationship dynamics. And with Mercury and the North Node having come together exactly on the day that Venus stationed, I feel like there could have been some type of like faded message or communication or conversation or information or interaction or spiritual guidance or something like that playing into whatever's about to go down in the context of this Venus retrograde energy. It's also interesting because Venus stationed retrograde at 10 degrees of Aries. Mercury will station retrograde at 9 degrees of Aries, and both of their retrogrades will actually take them back into alignment and conjunction in the sign of Pisces with Neptune and the North Node again. Neptune and the North Node right now in a conjunction in the sign of Pisces is another very significant aspect that I have been talking about. I made a video all about it a couple weeks ago. This is a rare alignment that is indicating a very significant period of transitions, but also a period of spiritual growth. And with this retrograde energy that is, you know, featuring these two planets in alignment, the North Node and Neptune, I feel like there's some very transitional process underway right now. We're changing our mind about something. We're coming to a point of release and letting go. And again, like with eclipse season lining up with this as well, I do not think we will be leaving March in the same place relationally, maybe financially, maybe in terms of the projects that we're working on or the partnerships we've got going on, as we had in place or as we thought we wanted. Like there could be shifts in collaborations. Like people may not want to continue working with the same people, working on the same things, working in the same ways, investing in the same things. Like there's likely to be shifts in commitments, perhaps resulting from shifts in values and value systems that for some reason go on or take place over this period of time. And with the Mercury retrograde as well, like we're changing our mind about what we want. And I'm telling you guys, with this alignment between Mercury and the North Node having been exact on the day that Venus stationed retrograde, just pay attention. You know, something that happened on March 2nd could have been significant in terms of some relationship dynamic or financial, again, like all of these things, or even like assets, resources, property, partnership, just like commitment, investment oriented, material possessions, even like things. There could have been something that happened then that like plays some bigger role in what is changing throughout this period of time. So just a little bit of note, something to keep in mind. Another thing I want to tell you guys, the symbolism that was present when we had Venus stationed as well. The sun was at 12 degrees of Pisces. That Sabian symbol is an examination of initiates in the sanctuary of an occult brotherhood. The earth was at 12 degrees of Virgo, a bride with her veil snatched away. Venus herself, you guys, stationed at, as I mentioned, 10 degrees of Aries, which is the Sabian symbol of 11 degrees of Aries. We round up when we look at the Sabian symbol placement. That Sabian symbol is the ruler of a nation. And Mercury, again, was exactly conjunct the North Node at 28 degrees of Pisces. A fertile garden under the full moon reveals an abundance of full-grown vegetables. I don't know. I really think that perhaps we are finding some things out, seeing some things for what they really are, reconsidering what we're investing in. And we could really, really see some big stuff play out with this on sort of a world stage, macrocosm type of level as well. Okay. Now, more moving into this Venus retrograde energy, changes of heart and changes of mind are probably going to come with this because of the it's like a synastry almost between Mercury and Venus, even though it's not even like they're really in a conjunction, but like they're both doing the same thing. It's like they're tracing the same path and they're going back in the same direction. And it's like they've made the same aspects together twice. And Mercury is the mind and Venus is the heart. And we've got eclipse season coming up and retrogrades. It is going to all boil down to these changes of heart and changes of mind. Again, in the context probably of money, love, material possessions, value, worth, wealth, reciprocity, also balance, peace, and other people. This probably will not be, and this is also something to just kind of like keep in mind, you know, a pen to put in your hat. Probably not going to be the best time generally for like social cohesion, peace, and balance within the group dynamic or relationship dynamics. Like things could be getting a little bit feisty out there. Like people could be speaking their mind about some things. Venus in Aries is already this more feisty, conflict-prone energy in the context of relationship dynamics especially, and is willing to fight for what she wants, okay? Venus in Aries is gonna go after and stand up and is willing to fight the fight to acquire what it is that she desires. That's just how this energy works. Venus retrograde, just as a general energy, regardless of sign, can bring changes in values and desires and attraction, and does not support peace and balance and maintaining the status quo or the image or the facade to the same extent as, you know, normal direct Venus energy does. And Mercury also entering the sign of Aries this week, you may frequently find that otherwise generally quite reserved and polite individuals are simply giving 0 Fs and telling off whoever needs to hear it as we move through the energy of this week, not caring at all to rock the boat. So don't be surprised if some people are just acting up a little bit and just not willing to sit down and take it. We could also see, of course, as I've said several times, reversals in commitments, investments, and partnerships as Venus starts moving backwards. Things that we maybe thought that we wanted, suddenly realizing that, oh, actually not so much. And especially because of this Venus-Neptune North Node conjunction and the Mercury-Neptune North Node conjunction, it may have been like, we thought something was like an ideal or was rising to meet our vision of something or like would satisfy like our higher desires in some way, but we're realizing it's not what we thought it was. Maybe we fell for some type of an illusion or something, or maybe it was like a little bit too good to be true, or maybe we're realizing like we were like sort of skewed in what we thought we wanted. And like this is the period of time where people are just going to be wanting to get rid of it, like cut it off, not be involved, go another direction, like almost actively distancing themselves from things, like aggressively backing away, pulling out, divesting. So don't be surprised if you find yourself witnessing some of that going on out there as well. I do imagine breakups and divorces are going to be a theme as we move through this next couple of weeks with this Venus retrograde energy, and then also followed by this Mercury retrograde energy, which is Mercury actually stations retrograde, you guys, the day after our full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo that we've got coming up. So again, we are heading towards some major changes, but I generally don't think anybody's really keeping the peace here as a priority right now. This is a much more self-interested energy. You know, people are going to be doing what they think is best for them, for their bottom line, for their agenda, for what they need to get done, for, you know, just what's in their best interest generally. And I do think this active disengagement will be more of a desire over this next couple of weeks. Things could get honestly pretty messy too. The way that this energy is, we're talking about Aries energy, which is, you know, Aries is the Lord of War, the Lord of the battlefield. Like, we're not backing down from a fight. And as I said earlier, Venus fights for what she wants, and she doesn't really care too much about keeping the peace and making sure things are balanced and, you know, nice and lovely when she's going retrograde. So there's that. Okay. Now, as I said, Venus and Mercury both will re-enter the sign of Pisces, will come back into conjunction with both Neptune and the North Node as we get towards the end of this month. Literally, I feel like it's almost going to be a process of re-establishing the vision after maybe a time of being generally turned off by something, or realizing or reconsidering what we thought we wanted, relationships, values, priorities. The North Node in Neptune does have to do with these fated endings, dissolving things, coming to the end of things, resolutions. So if you are seeking to cut ties relationally in terms of like, again, like projects or investments and stuff, commitments in that, things along those lines, in those regards, probably by the time that we do get to the end of this month, you will find that release, I would say, maybe between the 27th or the 30th. Again, remember, we're also in eclipse season, which is always a time of significant change, endings and beginnings being indicated with that as well. The lunar full moon eclipse in Virgo will be on March 14th. The solar new moon eclipse, which is the new moon in Aries, also is on March 29th. And then on March 30th, Neptune will enter the sign of Aries. As I mentioned earlier, huge energy shift. We haven't had this energy since 1861. Neptune will be in Aries through July, at which point he will retrograde, head back into the sign of Pisces through December, turn direct, and then make his way back into Aries, where he will be for the next, like, over 10 years, okay? So we're talking about another very big energetic shift that is going to bring its own new themes that we haven't experienced since the 1860s, pending as we get through the end of this month as well. So a lot is happening, a lot is switching up this month, tons and tons of energetic activity. I actually brought some data to show you guys. If you take a look, you can see these two papers right here. The one on in this hand and my right hand, this is in this bracket right here, this yellow bracket. These are all the aspects that we have going on in the month of March. Now, just for comparison, this one over here, this bracket, these were the main aspects we had going on in the month of February, okay? This is normal. This is what we're normally looking at when we're talking about these aspects, and this is not. We've got about double, if you're just listening and not looking at the video of this, what I'm showing here is that we generally maybe have like 15 things, like 10 to 15 big aspects going on in any given month. This month, we've easily got like 30 of them. So we are doubled up in terms of the standard energetic activity of any given month. And our experiences are probably going to reflect that. Of course, you know, I always notice that when we've got just a lot of aspects going on, it generally translates into a lot of things going on, just very busy energy. So, you know, as I've been saying, big month, lots of activity, major changes, endings and beginnings. We are at the borderline between Pisces and Aries. That's, of course, the end of a cycle and the beginning of something new. And that is without even considering the eclipses and the retrogrades and Neptune about to enter Aries, and also this very, very, very fated element of things. I find it to be incredibly, I mean, you could call it coincidental, but it's not. I mean, it seems like more significant than to say synchronistic. But we literally start the month on March 2nd. Mercury's in a conjunction to Neptune. We end the month on March 30th with Mercury also in a conjunction to Neptune. Like the same energy that I've been talking about, that we had over the weekend, that we're coming out of now, Mercury North Node, Neptune conjunction, we're going to be right back in that exact same place once we get into the energy of the end of next month. So again, it's almost like we're going back to where we started, to like give it a second chance, or like get a second opportunity, or try something again, fix something. So that's very interesting. I do think it's like a very spiritually oriented month yet again. faded spiritual guidance. Mercury in the North Node. Mercury is the messenger planet. Neptune, the North Node in the sign of Pisces, that is like essentially zero boundary between the physical and spiritual realms. There is a direct line to tap to universe, God, Great Spirit as we move through this time. We are starting with a very spiritual and creative and intuitive focus, and we somehow full circle by the time we get to the end of the month, like we are right back there. Absolutely strange and wondrous times, though it should be. We are, I think, very much like walking between worlds this cycle. Eclipses, end of Pisces season, Aries season, these retrogrades, North Node, Neptune conjunction, and Neptune about to enter the sign of Aries. Very, very just significant times, you guys. I think that some important things are going to go on throughout this period of time that could, again, be very life-changing in their nature. We are moving from one state to something else by the time that we get ready to enter the month of April. And we've got some very interesting astrology that is coming up that is going to be carrying us through the spring and the summer as well. And I'll be back to talk all about it. But that's really what I have to say, you guys, about the astrology of the beginning of our week this week, the beginning of the month of March, what we had go on following our new moon this past weekend. Crazy. But yeah, I would probably just prime yourself for some big changes to take place over this next period of time, and also to change your mind about some things. Like, you may find that you are suddenly just very, very turned off to something that you thought you would always love or that you've always liked or enjoyed, and for some reason just being very much pulled in some other direction. Let's talk about the tarot for a minute, you guys. We had 3 cards coming out. We have a card on the back of the deck. We have the Ace of Swords, the King of Pentacles in reverse, and the Two of Pentacles. To me, this is saying we're having thoughts and ideas or gaining insight, like a flash of insight, a sudden truth, maybe a piece of information that we've been missing finally coming through or something, like a sudden clarity. With the King of Pentacles in reverse, this would be about, like, well, it could literally be referring to an individual who is like has a lot of power or authority or wealth, or is in just like a financially prominent position, or is in charge somehow, that I don't know, is maybe losing power or something like that. Like, it could refer to an actual person, but it could also refer to just a thing that we have been committed to or invested in, or that has played a very foundational role in like what we gained value from somehow. Like, it could be like a career, or like a boss, or I don't know, like a commitment, a partner, or something like that, or a business. But it seems like we're gaining some type of insight into what we no longer want to be committed to, what we no longer want to be invested in, what we no longer want to gain our resources or our values from, and perhaps maybe going back and forth a bit about it. There could be some indecision, or we could have been very indecisive. We could have really been struggling about it, but when that Mercury Aries energy hits, we could suddenly feel like we know the choice that we want to make, and we feel like mentally empowered for some reason, or clear enough to move forward and make that choice. Now, it's interesting because on the back of the deck we have the Six of Swords in reverse, so it's still kind of making me feel like, you know, should I stay or should I go? Like, should I let it go and move on, or, you know, maybe not? But really, with the Ace of Swords coming through here, or maybe that's what we were questioning, whether we should stay or we should go. But with the Ace of Swords coming through here, it looks like we're receiving some type of clarity, information, communication, word. We're learning something that might clear things up for us, or I don't know, just help us figure out what direction we want to go. But with the King of Pentacles in reverse, again, that could have to do with like a person, like a relationship, a commitment, a partnership with an individual, or it could be like a business or an investment or just something that has been providing stability, security, financial abundance, or value. Could be like, again, like a job or a business or a project or something like that as well. So we may be deciding that we don't want to continue going in that direction, investing into that thing, being committed, building our life around it. That's what it's looking like to me, you guys. So I don't know, there could be some clarity that is coming through, but again, remember the nature of these retrogrades. Venus retrograde, this is not the time where you want to necessarily make an investment or commitment into something. When Mercury hits Aries, with Mars now direct and moving through the sign of Cancer, we are probably going to be wanting to like jump all into something, but it's looking like where that may occur, there is going to need to be some type of like just reconfiguration or change that takes place in order for it to actually move forward in that direction once Mercury stations direct. So that's what I have to say, you guys. I'm going to get one more card now. Get us a synchronicity card. Ask God, Spirit, Universe for one final piece of guidance or advice that we can keep in mind as we enter our week, enter our month. What does it benefit us to tell ourselves and remember? What do we need to know? What cosmic advice is gonna work in our favor as we move through this period of time? Think of good. That's our message for the day. It says think of good. The mouth of the righteous is a well of life, Proverbs 10:11. As you continue to think on whatsoever things are true, lovely, noble, and of good report, you will gradually change the negative patterns of your thoughts. You become aware of a gradual change and think constructively based on what you know to be right and good. So we need to keep the mind oriented in the positive direction as we move through this, which again, people could be a little feisty, all right? You know, it's not that people are going to be looking for a fight out there, but they're probably like not going to be avoiding it either. So this is reminding us that we will be better off if we keep our mind in a good place moving through this week. And that's our guidance and advice, you guys. Think of good. That is what I have to say for the day. Message from the stars, message from the cards. Hope you guys liked the video. If you did like it, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think that they would also enjoy this type of astrology content. Leave me comments, you guys. I'm so grateful for your presence here on my channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate when you let me know what's going on with you out there, especially if you are having experiences that line up with what I'm talking about in these videos. That is very valuable, meaningful information to me. So thank you for that. If you want to know what's on this whiteboard, I have a Facebook group linked in my description box below where I post images of those boards. If you're into Mayan astrology, check out the shorts section of my channel. I've been posting daily shorts following the Mayan Tolkien as well. And come back with me, you guys, on Wednesday. We are going to have another video out. We've got a lot more to talk about this week in terms of what's going on in our lovely energy field, and I will be back to talk all about it. So you don't want to miss it, you guys. I will see you next time. Have a beautiful start to your week, and until then, bye, guys.